who pays for the date? Is there a rule that says if you ask for the date, you automatically pay? Is there a rule that says you should go Dutch or expect to go Dutch, even if whether you've been asked or you're doing the asking, right?
That's funny.
Why is it funny?
I don't know. The dating questions are funny to me because I hear so many things from like my family and single friends, and it's just a mess out there. So yeah, I'm interested to see what everybody's opinion is about this.
Well, okay. Go ahead, Ava. I saw you. Go ahead.
This can go so many different ways because I feel like it's a touchy subject for a lot of people. This day and age, like, I guess I can get a lot of people's point of view when it comes to the dating scene and like who pays first, you know, and for what. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go ahead and speak on personal experience. I've had situations where I have dated guys and they are absolutely the providers. Like they don't, if I go to even touch my wallet, they give me the side eye, you know. It's like, absolutely not, I'm paying, you know. Personally, I like that, but that's me. I really like a dominant man, and I like a man who's a provider. So for me, that, like, I'm here for it, you know, as long as once in a while he allows me to pay something, you know, like, because I do want to be able to offer, but we're talking about first date. So on first date, that's something that I enjoy, you know. But I've also had it where I've been the person paying for the dates, kind of not something that I expected. I didn't go in expecting to pay the whole thing, but that's what happened, you know. I've had guys who've just been like, yeah, we're splitting the bill like all the way through. Like,
question really quick about that. Did they get a second date?
No. It really wasn't even just the fact that they didn't pay. There was other factors that led to the fact that there was no second date. To me, I really don't mind paying as long as there's like a communication about it. Like, I feel like I never go in expecting that a man is going to pay for an entire date. I always, if I'm going on a date, I make sure that I can carry myself, because you never know, you know. However, like, I don't know, maybe I'm just a little bit old fashioned. I like that. I like a man who is like, he's just like, let me take care of this, you know. That's me personally. But I also know that there are a lot of women who kind of abuse that, and it can cause a lot of men to be like, there's too many women out here just in it for a free meal or just in it for a good time, and then I'm doing all this and I'm putting myself out there and blah blah blah, and then the next thing you know, like, they drop me, they ghost me, I never hear from them again. So
no, you don't necessarily, a date doesn't necessarily have to be costly, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true.
I think, and I'm not a single woman, however, I do think that in terms of dating and who pays, that is something that needs to be communicated. My preference is, well, for one, I don't typically ask men out on dates. So therefore, if I don't like you. If I'm being asked.
I'm sorry.
Your laugh is so contagious.
I'm sorry.
I love it. I really do love it, okay? But if I'm being asked out on the date, my expectation is that you pay. And so as a woman, I feel like all ladies, if you're on the dating scene especially, need to be prepared to cover their own expenses just in case you know, the guy doesn't turn out to be someone that you can trust, or that you can trust even with a first date. But other than that, you know, if I feel like if you're going to ask me, then, and I agree, then you're going to be treating me, you know what I mean? And so therefore I would demand, I don't want to say demand, but I do expect you to pay.
I
don't want to say, I want to make it very clear that there's a boundary there, because to me, that, that's ugly. If you tell me ahead of time before a date, I need you to pay or I want you to pay, then you communicating with me at least is respectable to me, I guess you can say, because it gives me the choice to decide whether I want to continue to go out on this date or if I want to keep it pushing. So
I feel like
I agree.
keeps it less awkward because there's so many situations where you're just sitting there and you're kind of like, okay, who's paying? And you're kind of, you're reaching.
sitting there waiting, twiddling your thumbs.
But then you're like, it can be awkward, and I feel like it's made so awkward because this day and age, it's very up in the air about who's paying. But I feel like if you just have that communication, be just like, hey, just so you know, like, do you pay on the first date? I don't want to step on any toes. I've had to have those conversations with men. Like, I've been like, because I know some men are the providers and they do not want a woman to pay. They don't even like, it's their, I don't know, it's their thing. They don't want a woman to touch their purse. They don't want her to pay. And me even suggesting, sometimes they're just like, no, what? you know what I mean?
If I'm in a serious relationship or we're dating, then yeah, of course I'll pay. I want to, treat my partner, my significant other. And I'll be the one asking, planning, setting it up, and paying, because I do believe in that. However, because I don't typically ask men on dates and I don't see myself that ever becoming like a habit or a norm for me, then my expectation is that if I agree to go out on a date with you to get to know you or whatever the case may be, then you're treating me.
Okay. So I don't think that it's anything, I don't want to say wrong. I think it's okay to ask the guy out on a date or whoever out on a date. I think that's fine. And even if it's your first date or whatever, do I feel like at that point, do you become the person who is now obligated to pay and everything else? Possibly, yes. I feel like you should put it out there, but the guy should ultimately be like, no, I got it. Like, if they are into you, they should be like, yeah, I know that you planned it, you did a wonderful job, but I got it. I still want you to take the initiative and let me know that if I couldn't, or if I didn't want to, or if whatever the case may be, that you would be there to pick it up for me, to pick the slack up or whatever. To me, that just shows the progression of what type of guy you are.
I can see that. I mean, I feel like as a rule of thumb, personally, if you plan the date, you should expect to pay for the date. If it's the first date, you know what I mean?
I absolutely expect to pay for it, but I still want you to be like, no, I got it. Like, I'm going to do it.
I'm just talking about for me personally. Like, if I were to plan the first date, I would absolutely be of the mindset of I'm going to be paying, because I'm the one who asked you out. I'm the one who told you didn't have to, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm the one who invited you out here to this restaurant or to this, night on the town or whatever, So therefore, I do feel kind of an obligation to pay.
I would feel that way too.
Said, I feel like
I'm not saying that I would not pay. In my mind, I know for sure that I set this up and I'm going to pay for it. But I still want you to offer. And then it's up to me whether I'm like, no, I got it. I want you to still offer, because I feel like that shows what type of person you are, and it shows me your character. Not allowing me just to take care of you. I don't want to be that person. I still want you to kind of have it in your mind that, no, this is not how this is going to be all the time. Like, I'm not going to be taking you out, asking you out on a day one and then paying for it also. Like, that's not going to be how this relationship is going to be. But you know what I'm saying? I don't want to always be the aggressor.
I mean, I hear you on that. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with women asking men out on dates. I don't think that there's anything wrong if women choose to pay for dates, and whatever the case may be. To each its own, live and let live, right? However, my preference is that, well, for one, it's just not my thing to ask a man out on a date. And then number two is that if I'm being asked out on a date, I wouldn't anticipate or expect that you ask me to also pay for it as well. You know, to me, that's a little bit of a red flag. Like you asking
You
me,
asked me, and you want me to pay?
and now all of a sudden I gotta pay. Like, you know, what kind of patterns are we trying to create this early on? You know what I mean? As a woman, yeah, I do like to be pursued. So pay for that date. But
I
every
agree.
woman isn't
I'm
like that. But
that
I think a
type of woman
general
too.
rule of thumb should be if you ask, you pay. I think that's kind of fair, and I think it can minimize a lot of confusion in terms of who pays if people aren't comfortable
Yes.
communicating or having those conversations initially. Then just as a rule of thumb, if you ask, expect to pay.
And you need to go somewhere that you can afford. Don't try to
True.
impress me by taking me somewhere that you cannot afford. If you cannot afford the place, I need you to downgrade
Okay,
and do
so
something on your level.
Here's that. I feel like that will breach into a whole different subject, right? Because not every woman wants to be taken just any old where. Like, there are some picky women. I'm not one of those women, but I'm saying there are women who, like, you know, they prefer like wine and dine dinner over like, but however,
that needs to be the guys that they need to be attracting. Like, don't do that to somebody who's okay with going down the street to your local
Joe's Crab Shack.
What?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's one of my favorite restaurants.
But I mean, there's picnics. You can go to a picnic. There's free museums you can go check out. Like, there's free concerts you can go to. There's plenty of free options. So I know that not everything has to be a paid first date. And I personally do not mind going somewhere where we don't have to pay. Like,
you know what else you can do instead of doing dinner? Do dessert, because desserts are way cheaper anyway. So don't do dinner, do dessert. Go to like a really nice dessert place and get just the dessert, and then do dinner or something somewhere else. Or like you said, do a picnic first, and then just layer it. Add some layers.
Yeah,
I don't think it has to be a very complicated situation. It's just a matter of communicating, number one, and then just making sure that you're prepared to do what you need to do for yourself. And that goes for both men and women, you know?
Yeah.
But I wonder, it brings me to another question. Is it harder for men to ask women to pay, whether they ask or they don't ask?
Oh, you asking the wrong people. We don't know. Do you guys know that?
Well, what do you think? That's why I'm asking.
Is it harder for men?
The guy?
It's harder. For instance, right? Let's just say a woman asks a man out on a date, right? And let's just say because he takes that rule of thumb that since she asks, she's paying. What I'm saying is that if that's an expectation of his as far as being a man, do you think it's harder for him to set that boundary or that expectation with the woman who's asking him out on a date? Do you think it's harder for him to communicate to make sure that they establish who's covering the cost of the date?
I see what you're saying. Okay, so here's where it can also get sticky too, because not everybody's great with communication. And I feel like for some individuals, being asked that might be a throw off, especially if they're not used to having those types of conversations. Can we please normalize having those types of conversations? Because we've changed. The era has changed. It's not back. We're not back in the like 70s or the 50s anymore. You know what I mean? Like, man,
you say that because you said that you're old time. Like you like the traditional sense of the guy paying.
I do. That's my personal thing, but that's not going to stop me from having a conversation about it. Like, you know, I still feel like those conversations should be had. I'm for the traditional, like, a guy asks you out, takes you on a date, like, you know, that's me. However, I'm very aware of the day and age that we're in. And that's not everybody's speed. That's not everybody's vibe. So communication is key. And honestly, like, why not start off communicating with that? I mean, you're planning on dating, either whether you're casually dating or looking to date for a relationship. Communication is an essential part to building any type of connection. So if you are already having communication issues from the jump, then it's probably not it.
Right. And you might not need to waste your time anyway.
That that part. Like,
y'all gave up before it even started.
Well, I mean, look, it's a big pond out there, and you got to weed through a lot of stuff. So when you start seeing
Woo!
it almost immediately,
It's time to get out the water.
I'm just saying, you'll be mad at yourself if you don't, and you wish you would have listened to yourself the first time when you recognize, okay, he's playing games, or okay, red flag, or you know what I mean? But as women, we are so used to discounting those small intuitive nudges that let us know whether something is going to work for us or not.
Mhm.
And I'm more so about listen to that. It could save you a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of heartache. A lot of time that we usually feel like we've wasted on people when we knew. Most of the time we knew from early on, and we just ignored it because we want to be nice people, and we want to be agreeable, and we want to be accommodating. And when it comes to your energy, when it comes to establishing real connections and relationships, you have every right to be stingy and picky about who you give that to. So yeah, if you don't, if you are already seeing some things you don't like early on, why not? Why not move on? Why stay?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, like I said, it's an interesting topic, and there's so much you can get into with that because everybody has their sides. And I mean, I know that it goes beyond just men and women. You know, there's now like, you know, non-binary relationships and all those different relationships in the LGBTQ spectrum. Lord, tripping up on my words. But there's so much now that we have to look at, and I feel like you can't ignore the need and necessity of communication. So if you're not sure whether that's something you should be expecting, you know, then probably, you should probably ask about it. So you should ask somebody. Yeah.
I can agree that just put it out there up front. And that way you don't have to really ask questions. Hey, I'm taking you out on the date. Don't worry about anything.
Yeah, you know, you can let the other party know, regardless of what type of relationship, whether it's monogamous, polygamous, bisexual, you know, lesbian, whatever it is. Let the person know. You could also let the person know who has it, so that there is no confusion.
Right. Open communication, honestly. I think that's the biggest thing. But I still feel like, for a rule of thumb, if you ask somebody on the date, you should take the responsibility of paying for the date. That's me, my personal opinion, putting it out there.
Yeah.
And if I ask you on a date and I pay, I still want you to offer to pay. And that's me.
That is such a Leo. And I'm just saying, I love you guys. Gotta love it.
Offer.
So there you go.
But I definitely want you to offer.
I mean, I think a lot of us women, most of us, we want you to offer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the honest to God truth. I can't say I wouldn't want you to offer. But don't offer if you don't mean it, because I might take you up on your offer.
Right there.
A whole nother.
What you say?
That's a whole nother topic.